Welcome to Canada's podcast, the number one podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs.
Hi, this is Angela Fay from Canada's podcast. Super excited to welcome Morgan Browne from Oakwyn Realty from beautiful Vancouver in British Columbia. Morgan, welcome.
Thank you so much, Angela, for having me.
Yeah, well,
on this amazing podcast, local cool podcast.
Local cool across Canada at the moment.
We're Canada
to be
podcast.
Amazing opportunity, like entrepreneurs from across the country doing amazing things, making it happen. And
you are doing great things.
Thank you. Great things. Well, and speaking of great things, I don't necessarily love to put tags on things, but sometimes external, acknowledgement on success just helps people put in context just the work that's been done for an entrepreneur. And I'm pleased to reinforce the fact that Morgan is on the Real Estate Council at Forbes, and most recently got mentioned by the Globe and Mail as one of the top 400 growing companies in Canada. So we are not just talking to anybody, Morgan. It's so great to have you.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a ride. It's been a great ride. And I think, when you say those two points, I have to say that that's really given to us by our incredible people at Oakwyn and the people that make it run, the staff and all the realtors putting their incredible best efforts out for their clients and serving the Vancouver real estate market. So bravo to those people for all people that have supported that. But yeah, no, thank you for having me. I'm obviously so excited to be on a podcast with this beautiful woman. I get to see you on Zoom, so I had to get to do that. And I think what's so nice is that you guys are supporting entrepreneurs, and I'm as supportive as you guys are with that, really supporting people's dreams, which is really key. But yes, I mean, I started to be an entrepreneur when I was 21 years old. I think it was always kind of in my mindset, in my backyard, in my back mind. And I started my real estate journey when I was 21 years old in Vancouver, selling real estate, and being a realtor out on the field in Vancouver, west, east, downtown, North Van, all the kind of local spaces. And then it's now kind of pushed me into me and my two partners opening up Oakwyn Realty in Greater Vancouver. And now I'm the president and one of the co-founders there. So yeah, it's been a good journey.
Well, and in 7 years growth, you started with a team of 35. Even to get to 35, I'm a little bit blown away on how that happened. But I mean, you're now at 440 plus agents. Is that
440, right? That's right. 440.
That's beyond small business at the moment. That's quite an impact. And Oakwyn is an independent brand and name, which is very intriguing to me. Tell me a little bit about how that growth has been.
Yeah, no, it's been such a journey. I think with me and my partners, when we all came from big brokerages, to name a few: Remax, McDonald's, C21, so larger brokerages. And I think that was the best learning experience for us, to know that there was definitely need of change in our industry, not just in the service level, but really to keep on breaking the boundary and building incredible ceilings of what agents should be doing for their clients and how they should be serving them. So we started the journey, and it's very funny because one of my partners, she has a son and he's 7 years old, and I just look at him, and that's actually right when we started it.
So your timestamp.
He's right? My timestamp. He's my time. And I saw him in a wedding this weekend. I was like, this kid's going to be a teenager before I know it. But yeah, no, it's been a journey with us starting at 35 agents, and we were really a small brokerage. And I think our biggest goal was to really build a kind of a bottom-up structure. And what I mean by that is something that is going to serve, educate, and give back to our community in a really high level, but also work with incredible collaborative, aligned, mindseted agents so that we could, really make a mark in Vancouver real estate. So it's been excellent. And then of course it escalated office after office. And what's so nice is when you say 440 agents, I still feel like it's 100 agents. I still know everyone by name, and we are still very close group within our offices, which is great.
And you have how many offices?
So we have 5 offices.
Okay, and they're all in Greater Vancouver?
All in Greater Vancouver. Yeah, so one in Shaughnessy, which is 16th and Oak. We have one downtown, North Vancouver, Coquitlam, which is, Coquitlam right there, and then our Olympic Village office.
So, and I just from knowing how the impact that you make in Vancouver and the size of your business, but also the intel that you have as far as, the businesses and the residents that are moving and circulating within Vancouver, I think is an amazing intelligence. So I'm self-professing you as sort of my Vancouver intel.
You know what? So yeah, I like that. I'm gonna have to use that on some of my good ideas.
Yeah. If anybody wants to know anything about Vancouver, talk to Morgan first.
Yes.
Speaking of, what do you see happening in Vancouver? What are some of the trends and Vancouver is such a beautiful place to live. What do you think is happening in Vancouver that's not happening anywhere else?
Well, Vancouver, I think is, I was mentioning that, one of the big things with Vancouver is that we have, our affordability is talked about all over the world. Right. So, and really that comes down to supply and demand. It really comes down to Vancouver still wanting to be one of the most desired places to live. And I think one of the biggest things that we're seeing, and I think we have been seeing for the last 5-6 years, is that we're kind of landlocked. We're really put in with all the mountains and the oceans and obviously the states. So we have only a certain amount of land that we can really build on. And that's what has caused vertical living, which is, right in our downtown core all the way through to Olympic Village and more adding to the east side. But more and more people wanting to kind of migrate into the city. And obviously with COVID, it has changed a lot. Right. We are seeing a lot of people leaving kind of that 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom and moving into kind of wanting a more of an outdoor space, whether that's detached. And that's what we're seeing the most right now is like market rising in detached market, and our strata are, 1-bedrooms, 2-bedrooms in downtown has kind of deflated a little bit. So that being said, we have seen in the last 3 months, especially in the last 2 months, the market has risen, and we're optimistic that it will continue to do that kind of even during COVID, which is incredible, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
We are seeing prices kind of staying stable and nothing kind of dropping down, below that 5% mark, which is great.
And we were talking about sort of Vancouver being compared to, the likes of Hong Kong and Sydney, Australia, as, some of the more expensive cities. But, you can't just have that kind of reputation without being one of the most desirable cities to live in the world. So what do you think makes Vancouver stand out?
Oh, that's I feel like the biggest standout is obviously our backdrop, right? So obviously our city and where it is, I have tons of clients that come in from all over Canada, but also the States, and obviously Asia, Iran. A lot of people have moved and migrated this way. And what I'm finding is a lot of people are really wanting to be right in the core, being into a space where they can actually go, 45 minutes away to go to Bowen Island or Sunshine Coast. And they can go drive up to Whistler within 2 hours, go to Naramata, go to, Kelowna in 5 hours. So being able to kind of have a lot of different alternatives, different things to go to is a luxury, I think, for a lot of people. And it will continue, right? So, and even the States going down to Seattle in 2 hours. So there is this convenience with it and the luxury of being able to be in different places while you live in the central city. That's one. And two, which I've mentioned, you're right. I think we see that it is expensive to live in the city. And what I was mentioning to you about Sydney and Hong Kong and the likes of being in that, high price point. what I have noticed is that people are coming for specific things. Like, education is a huge one. We have the best
Okay.
education in our city. Our culinary culture is beyond, really. It's up there with Toronto. And I think I would say is better. Sorry, guys.
Toronto,
But,
sorry, Toronto, awesome.
yeah, but I think the biggest thing that we have is entrepreneurship. Even during a time with COVID, we have seen our government support the entrepreneurs, the people that want their dreams to be supported and to be heard. And we're seeing a lot of people being able to create these incredible companies like Smart Suites, Lululemon, all of the all the places that we go to. We're Vancouver based, and it's nice to see that even Oaklands can be close to that with the entrepreneurship. So it's good.
Is there any particular sectors of entrepreneurship that you've noticed growing?
I think the growth is definitely in health is a big one. I think our health and wellness is a huge part. And a lot of people are going into having virtual, obviously technology is taking a big drive on that as well. And having e-commerce businesses, we're seeing that a lot. But I think majority of them are kind of staying around that kind of realm, or they're going into natural resources and
Right.
such in Vancouver.
Well, and let me ask the question, just because you have such an intelligence in Vancouver that I haven't been able to tap into really before, is, it made headline news as well that Amazon,
Yes.
relocated or set up shop in Vancouver. What impact have you seen on the housing or the commercial market there? And do you think it's been a draw for other companies?
Yes, I think, well, number one is the development. They went right away and decided to purchase our one of the main buildings in Vancouver, and decided to revamp everything to house that many people for employees. So Amazon, that's number one. They really added to that backdrop, that whole beautiful part of downtown Vancouver on Georgia. So that's been a big part of it. But the second is that we are seeing a lot of people migrating. They were trying to get 3,500 people just locally in Vancouver to go ahead and to work at the facilities there. And then after that, they're speaking to people elsewhere. They're looking at people from San Francisco, a lot of people from LA that are going to be moving into Vancouver. So I do think in the next, after COVID has settled and hopefully people are comfortable coming in and moving in, I think we're going to see a big group of people coming from the States to come live in Vancouver. Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about culture, because we said, that's kind of key, right? But that's one of the things that is distinctively Canadian, and Vancouver is distinctively outdoors and very active. It's a very active city. What do you think how will our culture ripple effect through people that relocate here or become, the Canadian culture? What do you see in the
main Canadian culture?
That essence that it's hard to put your finger on, but it's there.
I think you're completely right. Number one, it's really hard to get away, especially with Vancouver. I was away in Brew Creek and close to Whistler this weekend, and I just was in complete awe of our, all of the nature that we have here. And I think one thing that, that Naramata or Kelowna or, these places that we're talking about that's not even pure to Vancouver, they don't have these incredible mountains and these thick old trees and these beautiful creeks, and it's just, and the nature and obviously the wildlife. So I think what we're going to see in a culture side is that even during time of COVID, people were having a real struggle not going out to these public parks, because it is part of what we do. We do the gross grind. We're up on the mountain. We're doing trails, and it's encouraged. And I think our kind of mild climate allows for that. We don't have much snow in Vancouver. It's maybe more damp and wet, but nothing that a great, Arctic jacket can do. You can always find good clothes, but there's these beautiful pieces that I think people are really just going to drive to. That's a huge part of our culture. It's to not only enjoy the inside, but enjoy the outside, and to be amongst people that are enjoying it as well, and taking in the moments. Yeah, taking in the moments.
So I want to go back a little bit to your story because there's so much in your story that I love. We want to part of what our goal is sort of instilling a sense of hope and a sense that there's opportunities and excitement happening in Vancouver despite COVID and despite a bit of a sort of distribution of people moving to more regional communities. What would you love to wave a magic wand and tap for the locals in Vancouver as far as the future?
I think for the locals in Vancouver specifically, it's really just to keep with that optimism that the market isn't going to crash. I think there's a whole big stigma that the market's going to the bubble's going to burst and
Right.
but what we're seeing, and I think the intel of Oakwyn is that we're seeing more end users and we're seeing more people that are coming to Vancouver to live. And I want everyone to know that this is a place that we're just getting started. There's lots of people that are coming in from all over the world that wants to be into Vancouver. And what's so nice is our diverse cultures. I think we have an incredible group of, all of our ethnicities in Vancouver that make it so I always laugh because whenever I'm on like a trip away, you always can see where the Vancouver demographic is because there's such a mixture, and that's what's so beautiful about Vancouver is that we we really encourage people from all over the world to be in this kind of beautiful Pacific Rim part of Canada. And also just I think it's as anything, there's always going to be growing pains, and I think with anything we see, definitely some faults in the government um, with infrastructure and allowing permits and allowing for growth in one side for affordability, but they are really pushing forward and wanting and encouraging more and more density, which is so nice. And I think that's how they're going to solve these affordability problems is by constantly letting developers build and to create new homes and new opportunities for young families and families to work, live together. Yeah.
So from 440 agents now, which is like a significant impact, you still have growth plans. You'd like to expand in Canada. To share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think Oakwyn we're just getting started, as I mentioned. We really have always planned to grow our company and be able to impact and serve more communities. That's always been our game plan. We don't believe in doing things. We like to do things right away, and so we're not fast growing, expansions really quickly. We like to do things smart and with the right people. And we are going to be hopefully growing sooner, but more into the island side to more of the Vancouver, Victoria Island side. And then you'll see things obviously in central Vancouver, but our goal will be definitely across Canada. Yeah. So we're just excited. We're just excited. We're raring to go.
when you're looking at the growth plan, what are you looking for as you move into a community? If you want to move smartly and understand the culture, I'm assuming as you expand into a new geography, what are you looking for?
Yeah, one of our main core values is putting people first, and I think that's been always serving us very well. So what we like to do is number one, connect with the local realtors that actually understand what's happening and has the same kind of intel into their communities.
Right.
That's one thing is we search for great people. I think that's a big part of it. It's the full-time agents. It's the people that are wanting to give back to their community and are doing excellent at breaking the boundary, breaking the bar, and making sure that they're creating something different. So they're really driving and embracing change in their local communities. That's number one. Number two, it's where we find a place where we see that there's an opportunity for lots of growth. That's to serve as many different families and in a high level, which is very key. And then third is, I think our major one is building a community. So we build community with our people, but we also try to, really drive and embrace growth with learning for all of the people around them. So I think the main kind of three things that we're looking for.
Like, can I just expand a little bit on that build community?
Sure.
Because I think, a deep connectedness is something that we're all really looking for. And we realize sometimes when we get off the churn that, maybe it's missing a little bit, or it's, maybe there's some networks that aren't quite as connected as we thought during this odd pause time. But in community building, what does that look like for you? What other pieces would you love to see as you move into a community and know that your part is, helping with real estate sales or connecting the right people in the right communities? Who else would you love to collaborate and partner with?
Well, I think number one is local entrepreneurs. I think one of our biggest contributors have always been, really to serve the people around us and vice versa. So Oakwyn has always collaborated with local charities, always collaborated with local businesses, entrepreneurs, and we try to share exposure. Really, that's number one with our community. But really, build community is based on really a great way of building something new. And that, what I mean by that is that it has to feel refreshing. It has to feel inspiring. And I think, again, I lean back to this, but it's all about the people we align ourselves with. So what I mean by that is these agents that we're talking about, they're people that are really caring about their community, but they're doing a lot of great work, whether it's in their service to their clients, or doing a long-standing growth in trying to help their colleagues. That's a huge part of it. So absolutely. We believe at Oakwyn, it's all about sharing, collaborating, and building. And with those three things, we think that I believe that building our community that's why it's been so, I guess, successful. It's because of the people.
Can you share yet maybe top 3 communities that are building something new, inspiring, refreshing that you're looking at?
Oh, yes. I think number one, I can tell you a couple, but I think really Nanaimo and all up Comox Courtney Valley, it's really beyond what they're doing there. I think that's something what you'll see with Lake Cowichan, even just with what they're doing with the wineries up there. I believe that's a huge, huge area that people are not even tapping into. Second one is, again, that same kind of island life as well, but is like not Half Moon Bay, but Sunshine Coast and that side, being so close to Vancouver. And Burnaby, which is right into Vancouver as well. Burnaby is going to be one of those, obviously with Brentwood, huge development, huge growth. Lots of developers coming into that market, being so close to all the transit that's happening in Vancouver, and so close to Lougheed and Coquitlam. So we're seeing lots of growth on that side. So that's the secret, guys. That's where we're going, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I really believe
that's
it.
Some great intel there. That's all BC based. Is there any particular community in the Prairie provinces or out east that is hitting your radar?
Well, I'm one of those women that don't say anything until it's done. So that should give you a hint of what is happening on the other side.
Right, that's already happening.
That's already happening. But I would say with regards to Toronto, Montreal, Quebec, and Ottawa, we have our eyes on lots of different spaces there. But I think as our market has changed, as COVID has proven that people can work from home a little bit more, we're a brokerage that can really withstand that because we're a nice hybrid. So we have lots of technology piece, and we have a huge part of we still believe in kind of brick and mortar. So we're a beautiful mix of those two as opposed to just one or the other.
Exactly. Well, and how does, I can't think of another independent brand beyond Oakwyn where I just already love the feeling and the essence. You go to your website and you just feel differently on your website. And, and I've, of course, stalked a little bit of your brand assets a little bit, which is kind of my job, is to go, when you have meetings amongst your your crew that say, work hard, stay humble. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a pretty amazing independent Browne. How do you keep that culture going across, how do you anticipate keeping that culture alive?
Well, I'll tell my marketing team that you took
Yeah,
you felt that, because that's
I
a
did.
huge plus to us, because that's a big part of it. We're obviously we're very really put on social media. We've actually never done print ad at Oakwyn. That's always been a number one thing. We know that our demographic and our growth is really based on the online presence. We really try to come up with creative, different ideas. I think that's the huge part of it. We have lots of different, instead of parties and lots of different collaboration pieces. That way, we had to do an Oakland Games. Like, we put on different things that are really bringing our people together. So number one, I would say we innovate. And I think that's a huge part of a community, is innovation and being able to think outside the box. The second is to really embrace that change, that it's going virtual, that we have to bring people together on a virtual level. So how can we help that with perks and
Yes.
different growth strategies for them? And the third is, I would say our education and our coaching is beyond at Oakwyn. We bring on, obviously, our 85% of our agents are 5 years plus at our agency.
Wow.
But that still has a nice, beautiful piece for that 15% that's in that 1 to 5 years.
Mhm.
And we believe that it's not just about learning during your 1 to 5 years. It's about constant growth. And
Right.
I think that's a huge part of our community. I think people are really seeking to change, seeking to push themselves, seeking to push their boundaries, and setting goals and getting to them with the people that will celebrate their success.
Well, and one of the things you've told me before is in your agency,
Mhm.
all or maybe most of them are full-time agents. These are not agents they're in the top 1 or 2 percentile of volume. They're
Yes.
not part-time agents. And I'm sure is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, exactly. So we have a thing in Vancouver, and I'm sure across Canada, where you are standard of top 10%, top 1%. Most of our agents are hitting that. And in our top 10% last year, we were in the top 1%. We were 10% of that. So a huge bulk of our agents were in the top 1%. We are quite humble with kind of showing statistics. We're not the agency to say, hey, we're the best. We really believe in that work hard, stay humble mentality. Because if we think that if we consistently raise the bar, and we really can take people with us along that way. So sharing intel, sharing people's secrets, that's a huge part of the great success of all the agents that are at Oakwyn.
Absolutely. Now tell me a little bit about Morgan. How on earth do you keep energized and refreshed and keep your own mindset and with innovation, what's happening outside your organization?
Yeah, that's thank you for asking me that. I have a lot going on. I would say, I have this energy that I think people are like, how did you get this energy? And I say, I was just born with this.
Yeah.
I've never,
Get it.
I don't know what it is, but I do jump out of bed, and maybe it's because I love what I do, for sure. And so I think I have a team, my own self, with my resale team that I've been doing for about 13 years since I started. And we do the top 1% in Vancouver. So we do service a beautiful group of professionals in Vancouver, which we're so lucky to have. And then, of course, I'm writing for Forbes
Yes.
being able to be a contributor there, which was such an honor for them to ask me to be a part of. And that really is my main goal with that, is to just serve as much as I can and give back to people that are really thinking about getting into entrepreneurship. My last one was all about being a woman leader and the challenges with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to make sure that more working mothers and more women that are wanting to have a family can take that in and say, I can do it too, which that's the goal, is you can do your own all. And I think other than that, I have a great family and a little toddler. So
Okay.
yeah,
How old?
He's 2 years old. He's
Oh,
2
yeah.
years old. My redhead. I have a redhead. He's
Awesome.
just so cute. Yeah. So I'm very lucky. And of course, serving, my main purpose and at Oakwyn is as being president is to constantly evolve, keeping the visions very strong and making decisions to build the company out as in the best way possible and keeping our agents really well served. So lots going on my side, but I think the biggest secret is workout. Workout and go to the spa. Go to the spa.
Right?
That's the.
I love it. Well,
Yeah,
I think one of your comments that you've said to me is if you could spread a message is, you can be whatever you want in the time of uncertainty. What do you think is the key recipe for people who are, looking to pursue entrepreneurship? What would be your advice?
Yeah, it's great. I think our main message for entrepreneurs out there is to make a plan. I think that's a huge and make a plan. Don't be afraid to put all your goals on a page and look at them daily. And also to have people that are well trusted around you to discuss those plans with. I think everyone should have a business coach if they can, and if not, a mentor to bounce ideas off as an entrepreneur. I also think take a chance. I think right now a big part of COVID is and big realization for a lot of people has been, if not now, when. So this is a time for you to really take in some of your dreams and some of your thoughts of entrepreneurship and really execute them in a great way. But the biggest thing is, you can be whatever you want to be if you have a very big and a strong strength of certainty. And that's my biggest message to entrepreneurs out there is you have to be certain of what you're doing and never look back. I think that's super key.
Absolutely. Morgan, how do we get a hold of you post podcast? What's the best way to connect?
Best way to connect with me is on Instagram. I think that's my number one platform, which is great. Or my Instagram handle is Morgan Browne Official, and my website morganbrowne.ca. If you'd like to ask any questions, I'm happy to have another Zoom cafe meeting with anybody out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And it's been a pleasure.
You,
I think you're in my hit list. And of course, I confess that I'm in Nanaimo. So I'm sure there's going to be an opportunity for us to have some coffee or a beer on my back deck. I'm pretty sure.
I'm meeting with them next week. I got to come see you. I have to come see you.
Absolutely.
But yes, for sure. Thank you for having me, Angela. It's such a pleasure.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks.